Good morning, everyone. How are you? We are back at it, back to regular content. Thank you for joining me this morning. If you are new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you are a subscriber, welcome back to my channel. And a big hello to all of my members who support me every day. All right, you guys. So one of my subscribers sent me a message over the weekend that she was a little bit upset with Kail Lowry because of a photo that she had shared on Instagram. Kail, who had recently had to put their dog down, Bear, for having a illness. I don't remember if it was specific to the breed or not, but she has had a couple dogs that have come from breeders in the last couple years that have developed illnesses that are not uncommon within these breeds, and she had to recently put her dog Bear down. She also had a dog connected to, I believe, her ex-boyfriend Chris that had to be put down for another illness related to the breed of the dog. And with that decision, obviously, a lot of people were with those decisions and those chain of events, fans were hoping that she would then consider not going through a breeder for future purposes, for future dogs, that she would instead consider going through a shelter and adopting a dog that was already in the world that was a mixed breed that would be less likely to have health problems. Well, over the weekend, she debuted her newest addition to the family, and it upset fans because for two reasons. One, the dog is purebred, and second, it had cropped ears. So people on Instagram were expressing their outrage. They were upset with Kail. I'll show you the photos, and I can tell you a bit about why people might be upset here. So she shared this photo. There's the dog. It's a Cane Corso. She had traveled a long way in order to get the dog, and they were driving home with the puppy. As you notice in the photo, the dog has ears that have been cropped, which is a practice that many organizations now suggest people no longer do. It is banned and illegal in numerous countries around the world. It is currently not illegal in the United States, but there are many organizations that speak out against this practice. So, with that being said, people said, look at those freshly chopped ears, that poor baby, but you like the look, right? Doesn't it matter that it hurt him, right? Ear and tail cropping is illegal in Australia unless a vet clears it. It has the best interest of the dog medically for the procedure to be done. I was shocked to see this can still be done in other countries. While I disagree with it, I'm super glad to see you have a new pup. Very cute. Look at the stitches in that poor pup's ears. Why would you buy a pup who has been... I wish more celebrities promoted adoption over buying from breeders. Thousands of dogs and cats are killed daily in the country due to pet overpopulation. Please adopt in the future. And ear cropping is cruel, very painful to the dog, and for cosmetic purposes only. This is why many vets do not perform the surgery anymore. And they just kind of went on and on and on. Every dog you buy from a breeder, 100 dogs are euthanized in a shelter. Keep supporting backyard breeders and the problem only grows. I actually like you and you're responsible in many ways, but this is a sad reality you will never know unless someone teaches you. So naturally people are upset for those two reasons. Now, here's the thing. It's her right to purchase a dog in the United States any which way she wants to. Animal rights activists will absolutely say that the population of pets there's far too many. Shelters around the country are exploding with dogs. There are puppy mills littered throughout the country of breeders producing animals for a need which is not necessary. There's not a demand for a lot of these dogs in which they're breeding, and which then really ends up that dogs end up abandoned, dogs end up thrown out at the side of the road. My two dogs back here, I'll show you. These two ladies, those are both from a rescue. They are both tree and walker coonhounds. They are mixes. Sweetie, we think, is a coonhound mixed with maybe a lab, and Frida is a foxhound mixed with likely a beagle. So they both came from breeders that dumped them Sweetie down here actually had a litter of pups when we got her, and she was still she had just weaned when we bought her. She had multiple litters and came actually from a puppy mill. So there's lots of dogs out there in the world that are in need of homes, and so people are outraged by it. The Animal Humane Society says that it's simply irresponsible for breeders to produce more animals to meet a fabled demand for purebred animals when there are millions of animals living in overcrowded shelters or on the streets. We can't be dispassionate about the subject because it's impossible for us to remain dispassionate about a prevailing issue of the homeless animals in the United States. Nearly every year, there are more than 2.7 million shelter animals are euthanized in the United States. There is simply not enough space to accommodate the estimated 70 million homeless animals roaming the United States. Adopting from a shelter saves more than one life, it saves 3. Adopting your next pet from a shelter not only saves the life of your new pet, but it saves the life of the next animal that shelter can rescue. The more pet owners who are convinced to adopt from a shelter rather than a breeder, the more animals that can get to keep their lives. You've already saved 2 lives by choosing an animal shelter, but many shelter pet owners would argue that the 3rd life you save will be yours. Few things on the planet will bring you more joy and happiness in a home than the additional of a rescue animal. And so they are against puppy mills. They're also, they say that adopting from a shelter is a lot less money. They said purebred superiority is a myth, and let's not forget that roughly 25% of animals in shelters are purebred, which means that even the most discerning of pet owners need not spend thousands of dollars at a breeder. There are a lot of purebreds that are very unhealthy because of the gene pool has become so small, and they consistently will breed in poor traits into a dog. For instance, the German Shepherd, which is a American sort of icon dog, Rin Tin Tin, they have taken traits from German Shepherds that are actually recessive and debilitating. The slope back of an American German Shepherd is actually a really bad trait because it is a sign of hip dysplasia. The dogs are very large in size, and so when they have the slope back and the lower growing hips, it actually causes a lot of issues down the line. Dogs, the most unhealthy dog, according to multiple websites I've been looking at, is the Golden Retriever. So purebred does not necessarily mean better dog. It simply means there's a smaller gene pool and a lot more probability of illness. The wider the dog has for gene pool from a mix of dogs means the higher probability the dog will do well. Our old German Shepherd actually lived to almost 13 years old, which is rare because most only live to about 10 or 11, and our vet said it was because she was a mix. So there you go. Now, in terms of the ear cropping, they say the American Veterinarian Medical Association says that the AVMA opposes ear cropping and tail docking of dogs when done solely for cosmetic purposes. The AVMA encourages the elimination of ear cropping and tail docking from breeding standards, and many of these organizations have been petitioning ear cropping because it is something that has been pushed by the American Kennel Association as a way to meet breed standards. And because a lot of the issues of the breed standards are based on cosmetic and what the ideal dog in that area should look like, it is not necessary for the dog. There are myths, according to the AVMA, that cropping the ears can reduce ear infections. They say there's no evidence to suggest that it will do anything of the sort, and that ear infections will happen regardless if the ears are cropped or not cropped. The cropping, according to the AVMA, was done a long time ago with the thought that by removing the ears, that the dog would be able to hear better. However, they say that's also not true. They say that the issue is that some breeders of dogs in the United States customarily have their ears reduced with a blade or scissors to modify their shape, and in some cases allow a naturally drooping ear to stand upright. Cropping is performed when dogs are between 6 and 12 weeks old, depending on the breed and body. In larger breeds, the surgery of the ears are positioned with tape, bandages, or other devices to encourage an upright position. Well-controlled studies addressing the animal welfare implications of cropping ears do not exist. However, case studies support certain risks associated with it. They say the welfare risks include general anesthesia, post-operative care, which can be discomfort from healing, stretching, retaping, bandaging, and other manipulations after surgery. Some will need to be bandaged or taped upright for days to months. Complications can include infections. The ears may fail to stand or have a distorted shape or position, potentially leading to more operations. They say that there are very limited benefits to the animal for it because they can get serious infections that can be leaked with heavy hanging ears. There's no evidence that cropping prevents or successfully treats the ear infections. It also has been suggested that cropping avoids later ear injuries or improves hearing, and there's also no evidence for that either. So they suggest you not do it. PETA also speaks out against it. The Humane Society actually has no stance on the practice. So fans at this point in the United States, it is her right to do that. Whether or not it's humane or for the best interest of the animals, lots of organizations are saying it's not. We need to get rid of it. There's people that are working towards passing legislation to end the practice in the United States. So in the meantime, Kail is probably likely going to remain unfazed. She kind of does what she wants, and she has her new puppy. Hopefully this dog will not end up with the same health conditions or problems that her other dogs that were also purebreds faced. For now, that's all I've got on this. What are your thoughts? Are you for this, against this? Is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? Do you see why it would be done? Are you a shelter person? Are you a shopper? In my house, we adopt, we don't shop. Every single animal, we have 5, it comes from rescues. We are humongous supporters of rescues, and we will never buy from a breeder. What are your thoughts? Tell me below. All right, you guys, before you leave, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already, and make sure that you're following me on Instagram at Without a Crystal Ball, on Facebook at facebook.com/withoutacrystalball, and on Twitter at WOACB official. All right, you guys, I'll be back later.